So welcome again to math class, U3A5, this time for Reach Ahead Grade 9 Math. I'm going to do the homework questions here. So the first one says create a table of values with this equation. So here's your equation, 5h plus 10. You'll see here that h is where x usually is. It's on the right side of the equation, and on the left side I have c. So when I set up my table of values, h replaces x as my independent variable and c is my dependent. So you have something h here. I don't know what c is, but h, I figure out what h is. I put in a value here, and then I figure out what I throw into the equation, and then c is produced depending on what h is. So h is independent, I choose it. C is what comes out of the equation. So I set up a table of values here. I sub in, here that's a 1. I sub in different h values into this equation. So 5 times 1. So there's my 1. 5 times 1 plus 10, and I get 15. 5 times 2 plus 10, and I get 20. And I go all the way through, and I see that I have a first difference or a rate of change of 5 each time, which is nice. This looks like y equals mx plus b. So it's going to be linear. I'm going to have here my rate of change is going to be 5, and my intercept here is going to be 10. So when I plot these points, if I was to plot these going up by 10 each time, so 10, 20, 30, etc., and go here by 1, I plot a point here at 115, 220, etc., and if I wanted to draw a line, I could do so. Question 2 starts off by asking you to rewrite this in y equals mx plus b form. And what I've done here is I've just going to show you something here. I might erase some of this. But what I've done here is I've done it the way I personally would do it. I don't like to deal with negatives, especially when I'm going to divide and multiply. So I noticed that there's a coefficient of -2 in front of the y. So at some point I'm going to have to divide by -2 unless I do something earlier. So I have x here and y here, and I don't want them both on the same side of the equal sign. And normally what you would do is take the x and bring it over here, but then you'd bring over a negative x. So I'm going to try to limit my negatives and look at this and say, okay, this is -2y. When I bring this across the equal sign, it's subtracting on this side, it'll add on this side. So now I have x is equal to 6 plus 2y. I don't want the 6 on this side. 6 is my b eventually, or will turn into something, sorry, it will create my b. So when I bring that across the equal sign, I have to subtract it. It's adding on this side, so now I subtract. So now I have x minus 6 is equal to 2y. And what I'll do next is, and I'll erase this and show you what I did here. What I'll do next is, I'll do it in blue, is get rid of the 2. It's multiplying the y on this side. When I bring it across, it's dividing. So that's great, except that's not this form. Y equals mx plus b form has a coefficient in front of the x, and then it has a value being added or subtracted from the mx part. So here's my mx kind of, and here's my b kind of. But what I have to do is break up this 2. So what I do is I have my first part here, x divided by 2, and I'm not going to write this as x over 2. You could say, look, that is equal to that. Maybe I should have written that next line, is that's equal to y. So I break up the 2 here, and then now I want to express this like this, though, with a coefficient in front of the x, not under the x. Okay, so x divided by 2 is the same as 1/2 x, but this is the proper form, 1/2 x, and minus 6 divided by 2 is -3. So now I have the right form. Something times x plus or minus something is equal to y. And we don't like it like that. We usually rewrite it with y on the left side, so you can just swap this whole thing over. I didn't change any signs. I just brought the y over here, and I brought everything else over here. And I'm left with y equals to 1/2 x minus 3. Then I sub in my values of x into the equation. So 1/2 times -2 is -1, and subtract 3 gets me -4. And I keep doing that, and I get minus 3.5. I sub 0 into the equation, so 0 times x is 0, minus 3 is minus 3. And I notice that between each term, successive term, I'm going up a half, up a half, up a half, up a half. Okay, so that is question 1 and question 2. Question 3, I'm going to jump around. Hopefully I can do this properly with minimal issues. And if I look here, here's the question for question 3. So I'm using something different now to make my recordings. I think this is about the 4th different thing I've used this year, trying to get the best one, and to be honest, the cheapest one. And by cheapest I mean free. So here's the equation. Y is equal to this, -4.5x minus 0.5. and then it says use Desmos or technology. Now, you don't have to do anything on technology in this class. It's not part of the curriculum. You can do everything by hand. If you want to do this by hand, you're welcome to do that. The exact same way you'd set up an equation like this, then you'd set up a table x, y, x, -2, -1. Look over here, I have -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, going up by 1, and then I could do this by hand. Okay, but if I wanted to do this on software, the software I personally would choose would be something called Google Sheets. So Google Sheets is awesome because it's as good as, or almost as good as, any Quattro Pro or Excel or any spreadsheet type software, but it's free. And if you're into the Google stuff yet, I don't know if you guys have your Google emails set up at school, but everything, you can put this on here, you can save it to your drive, you can pass it back and forth, you can do a bunch of great stuff with it. So the Google stuff's awesome. So I'm gonna show you how to do this. I have some background with this sort of stuff, and what I'm gonna do right now is I'm going to set up a spreadsheet on Excel, or sorry, on Google Sheets. Sorry. Now, what I want to do first is have this work. It would be nice. So if I click here, is it gonna let me click here? First name exported, not exported. Oh, dismiss. Are you kidding me? Just let me do it this time. Okay, I'll be back. Very funny. This is hilarious. All right, so. Okay, you should have seen me. I was running back and forth from my office, or from a workroom to a closet, and blah blah blah, back and forth with a mic and a computer in my hand just now. No, hopefully this will let me. So what I want to do is graph y is equal to -4.5x minus 0.5 using technology. So I'll show you how to do that. So if you go to Chrome, I have to switch this up, and you set up a little table here with my x values here and my y values here, and going back here I had what, -2 to 2 as my increments. So I'll do that here. Oops. So I start with -2, -1, 0, 1, 2. Those are my increments for my x values. I need y values here, and the equation was, let me just make sure before I do this, -4.5x minus 0.5. So I'm going to use, and I'm just going to stretch this for you guys actually. Actually, give me one. Okay, I pulled that up so you can see it. So I want -4.5x minus 0.5. But what I'll do, instead of using x, is you're going to use the star symbol for times. So it's above the shift 8. And then I don't want x, I want whatever's in this column. So let me start this again. So when you want to put an equation in here, you start off with the equal sign. So you start off with equal, and that says I want an equation. And then you write -0.45 times, not 0.45, 4.5 times, so shift 8 to get that times sign, and go over here and click on that, and it automatically says A3 here, so that's the A3 cell, and then I want to subtract 0.5 and then 0.5, and then you hit enter, and it gives you the answer. And you can do that for each in each cell, but the best thing to do is, what did I just do here? The best thing to do is, you erased that. So let me show you again. So that is equal to -4.5 shift 8. And click on this guy here, or you can actually type in A3 also if you want the A3 cell. But I'll do that. Subtract 0.5, enter. And if you go back over here now, and then go on this, and then right click. So right click on this over here, or up top here, right click, and you can copy this, and you can copy it here, and you can copy it. No, you can. Hold on, let me try that again. So what you do is you take this here, and then hit the paintbrush, sorry, and then drag it down like this, and hit enter, and nothing happens. Great. All right. So maybe I don't know how to use this as well as I thought I did. Anyway, so go here, 8.5, and then go edit, and then hit copy, and then you can drag it here to every column that you want, every cell that you want the answer for. Then hit edit, and then hit paste, and then it'll automatically put this equation into these cells using the x value beside it. So this one here is 4.5 times 0, subtract 0.5, and you get negative 0.05. And if you want to graph this, what you can do is just kind of just put your cursor on all this here, and then you can go over here to tables, insert charts, and you can choose what type of chart you want. If you want, it recommends some stuff for you there. You can use this sort of thing. I don't like any of these here. You're probably better off with maybe a scatter plot. So if you want to go with the scatter plot, you click that, and you click scatter plot and hit insert, and it will insert the scatter plot for you, and then you can mess around with changing the title, and you can add a bunch of stuff to it. Okay, so that's all extra stuff. You don't need to know that stuff, but that's Google Sheets. Microsoft Excel is the same thing. Quattro Pro, Lotus was the old one. I'm a little rusty on it, as you could have seen, but it's pretty powerful stuff, and especially when you get to some real data in real life situations, like in science class or in other classes like that. Okay, hope that helped. Take care.